So today we're going to be doing a comparison between traditional rentals. That's where you go out there and find a private pay tenant, somebody that has a job or some form of income. They got some disability or social security or something like that, renting to those type of people versus doing a rent to own, AKA lease option, AKA contract for deed or land contract. That's where we sell the property on an installment basis. We collect monthly payments and then we get cashed out at a later date. So I want you to see exactly how the numbers pan out so you can take your career seriously and have a good vision of how you want to run your long-term whole business. Now, neither one of these are going to be right or wrong, but I want to just show you what you're going to be getting yourself into and what I got myself into back in 2005, 6, and 7. So you don't go out there and lose your shirt like I did, okay? I don't want you to be up at night looking at the ceiling like, Lord, what am I going to do, okay? Let's do this together. Okay, class, it's Kris Haskins with therealestateroundup.com. My mission and ministry is to raise your financial literacy through real estate investing and entrepreneurship. So as I move in and out of my business, I see so many people trying to get in the business, trying to understand where do they fit, what strategy works best for them, what should they do. They see some other people do things. They're seeing all these crazy gurus online talk about long-term holds, and I want to go over the numbers so you see exactly what you're going to be getting into. Now, these numbers are going to be, and from the way I'm going to do it, worst case, right? I don't want you to, see, in real estate, it's always about what's your worst case scenario. What is my break even? Where is it that, what do I do to make sure that I just don't lose money? So I'm going to make these numbers favorable for somebody that's kind of new getting in so they don't think, oh, I'm going to make all this money when I get into business. Money's going to be falling out of the sky. I don't have to do anything. Passive income. Yeah, let's do it. That's not how real estate works. It didn't work like that for me. It might work like that for you, but since 2004, I've tried to be hands off and it just didn't work. So we're going to be talking about traditional rentals, which I do them, but not necessarily on a frequent basis. I focus on rent to owns. I have some Section 8, a few private pay tenants, but I want you to have a clear vision of where you want to run your business. So let's break this stuff down. So I'm doing a comparison here on a standard $200,000 purchase price at 6% interest. All right, so I know some of you are saying, you can't buy anything for $200,000 in my area. That's too low. Then some people are going to be like, Kris, 200 grand, that's super high. Man, those numbers are high. So this is just an average, ordinary, any town, USA. You change the numbers to fit for you. So I want to prove to you that this is the right numbers. Let's take a look at the amortization table here so you can see it. So I plugged in $200,000 in the AM table. I put 6%, and the payment comes out to be roughly what? $1,200, right? So you can see right there on the screen. But then we do have to add in taxes and insurance. So what I did was I took $1,200 for the month, for the taxes, for the principal and interest, excuse me. And then I added $300 for taxes and insurance. You go out there, do your own numbers. This is just for example purposes, okay? So when we do this acquisition, our payment is gonna be roughly $1,500, maybe plus or minus a few dollars, I don't know. On traditional rentals, that's not going to change. So when you buy the property, your payment is still $1,500 on whether you rent it out traditionally or you do a creative rent to own strategy. Now, when we rent out the property to one of our tenants, the market rents, it's going to be $1,800. That's not going to change on a rent to own or a lease option. And that's $1,800. And you know what? Let me back up a little bit because I didn't explain exactly what a lease option is. Let me back up some. So traditional rentals, everybody knows what that is. I already kind of did explain that. But a lease option or a rent to own is where we actually rent the property to somebody that has challenged credit. Somebody that wants to come in and say, I want to be a homeowner, but I can't necessarily qualify right now. I will be able to qualify later in time. So Mr. Haskins, will you mind renting me the property for a few years while I clean up my credit and then go out and buy the property? That's going to be a lease option. Now, if you want to dig a little deeper into how lease options work, there's a video right there where I walk down the whole steps. I didn't want to take, if I broke all that down, the video would just be too long. So they rent the property with an option to buy it, okay? So our tagline with doing rent to owns or lease options, We provide home ownership for people that can't necessarily go out and get a loan. You got to remember this. Let me say it again. I've said this probably 1,000 times. Repeat after me if you want to do rent to owns. We provide home ownership for people that can't necessarily go out and get a loan. Okay? How many times have I said that line? Good God, you see, I've mastered that line. Okay, so if you buy the property, your payment's $1,500, rent's $1,800. That's not going to change whether you do traditional or rent to owns. Now, the yearly cash flow is going to be $3,600. So that means you make $300 a month, $3,600 at the end of 12 months for the traditional. Now, on rent to owns, yearly cash flow is going to be the same, $3,600. That's not going to change. Stay with me here. You're going to see where the numbers get staggering. Numbers are going to get staggering here. Now, when you move the tenant in, you're going to get what? A security deposit. That's going to be $1,800. That's just standard for traditional rentals. Now, when you do a lease option or a contract for deed, we don't do deposits. We do something called down payments or option considerations or option fees. Now, these option fees or down payments can be anywhere from $5 to 10 grand. Big numbers regarding rental property, right? Do you think you're going to be able to get a $5,000 security deposit from a tenant? Ain't going to happen. And in fact, in Virginia, I just looked up the landlord tenant law. You can only charge you can't charge more than 2 months security deposit. So what we do with traditional rentals, sometimes if somebody is really challenged credit, we'll charge a double deposit. But it may be against your state law to charge that. So make sure you type in your state landlord tenant law so you know exactly how much you can charge for security deposit. But I promise you ain't getting 5 to 10 grand. So far we've got what? The yearly cash flow is the same, but moving in, big difference. Next, in 3 years, real estate is all about over time. It's the law of averages. In 3 years, at $3,600, we have made $10,800. How do I do that? I took 3,600 times 3, gave me 10,800. Now, over here on the rent to own, I still got 3,600 times 3. That's going to give me 10,800. But what do I get to do? I get to add in, I just said here, we got a $6,000 non-refundable down payment here. Pay close attention. So as opposed to us getting in 3 years 10,800, we're adding $6,000 to the bottom line because my down payment, I just said was going to be, I just made it easy. I got to make this easy for me trying to do these numbers. This stuff it gets big doing hundreds and hundreds of videos. Okay. So in 3 years, as opposed to getting 10,800, we got 16,800 because of our $6,000 down payment. Okay, let's keep going. Stay with me. So you got to stay with me. You got to work this stuff if you want to have a long real estate career. Now, here's where it really numbers get real big. Expenses over time. Let's just say you got $2,000 a year to maintain this property. I know somebody be like, $2,000 a year, I don't spend that. Well, let's say you got a toilet breaks, that's gonna be a couple $100. You got a light fixture that goes out. You got a window that stops malfunctioning. You got a door that stops working. You gotta replace the door. You got a hole in the roof. You might have some siding that fell off the building. You might have a flooring crack. You could have a plumbing fixture or a sewer line, but so many things that could happen when you own rental property. That's why on an average, $2,000 a year, let's just say it's just an average, okay? So in 3 years, y'all, we have spent $6,000. We're just gonna say this tenant stayed for 3 years, okay? Now, that's traditional rentals. On a lease option, rent to own, stay with me. Our expenses are, drum roll, zero. Oh, I didn't put the dollar sign there. Make sure I do that. Make sure y'all understand. $0, dineros, okay? Why is that? Because when we do rent to owns, we pass on the repairs to the tenant buyer. Let me say that again. Traditional rentals, in the tenant's mind, who is responsible for repairs? Landlord. And in rent to own, in the tenant buyer's mind, who's responsible for repairs? Tenant buyer. That's why you're a tenant buyer, not just a tenant. So 3 years, we got 0 expenses. Now something big could pop up, but we're gonna just say this is gonna be on an average, all right? Now, so 3 years, this tenant here, stay with me, it gets even better. In 3 years, let's say you got a turnaround, your tenant moves out, 3 years, you gotta move a new tenant in. So in traditional landlords, a turnaround is gonna be roughly $4,000, probably more, but let's just say for conversation's sake. We gotta paint, we gotta either do new carpet, clean the carpet, change out some fixtures, possibly change out a cabinet, fix the window, door, flooring. You have no idea how many little things pop up when you're turning around a tenant, because these type of traditional renters, they want warm and fuzzy. They want to walk through the property. They want to feel good. They want to make sure that everything is new, everything's working, it smells good, everything is up to par. These are the people that you're going to rent to dealing with traditional tenants. If your place smells funny or the carpet isn't in good condition, then it's going to take longer for you to find a tenant. Rent-to-owns, let's just say they did stay for 3 years and God forbid, whatever happened, they decided, you know what, we don't want to stay here. We're not going to buy the property, or we can't buy it, or whatever. They move out. Your turnaround, roughly, I was going to put 0, but it's roughly going to be about $1,000 for cleaning it up, possibly taking out the trash, wiping everything down. Some fixtures may or may not work. Refrigerator may or may not work. I didn't even put that on this side. What if your refrigerator goes out? What about your stove, your microwave? These things happen. On a rent to own, if once they move out and want to get it ready, let's say the refrigerator does break. Now on a rent to own, property comes without refrigerator. Tenant buyer can put a new refrigerator in there. Isn't that cool? Let's say on a rent to own, one of the light fixtures is broken. One of the sink fixtures doesn't work properly. Maybe the shower head leaks a little bit. Rent to own, the tenant buyer is responsible for that. So your turnaround is going to be minimum. Let's say $1,000. That's usually, we don't even spend that when we turn these things around. So, you know what? I didn't even put in here. Let's stay here. Then I'm going to dig into you a little harder. So if we, for the year, we made 10,800. That's what our profit was, traditional rental people. Now, I'm not saying this. I want you to make your decision. You decide how you want to run your business. Expenses for 3 years are going to be $6,000. That's $6,000, right? And then tenant turnaround is going to be $4,000. So your total profit for 3 years is going to be, oh my goodness. I know I'm offending some people. I know it. Why? Because this, oh, you know what? I forgot to do this too. I've got to make sure I do that. I was thinking about doing that when I was making this video. This was me, 2008, 2009, 2010, 11, doing traditional rentals, because I didn't necessarily know what I was doing and I didn't know how to pick the right traditional tenant. Now, there are some ways you can kind of mitigate this stuff, which I'm not going to get into right now, but I want you just to look at the numbers, y'all. If your profit, all you're making is 10.8, that's it. Did you know you can't make a tenant pay any more than what the rent is? I have tried. You can't make them pay more. You can try to do little small things, renting them a washer and dryer, renting them a parking space or a storage shed. You might get a few $100 here and there. But is it really worth your time? I don't know. Profit 10.8, expenses 6, turnaround to fix it up for the new tenant 4, you got $0 profit. And let's not even consider. You see, when you move a traditional tenant out, May 30th or whatever, May 31st, I don't know. You're not going to have a new tenant on June 1st. You got some vacancies. So let's say you got 2 months of this monthly payment. That's another $3,000 what? In the trash, okay? Let's go to my other side over here where my rent-to-own homie is. Let's say your tenant moves out. Oh, we covered that already, $1,000. So your profit, let's see where our profit is on a rent-to-own. We got 3 years. As opposed to the 10.8, we got 16,000, right? We made 16.8 because we had no expenses for the year. We didn't fix anything, they did. And let's say you did have to spend $1,000 on a turnaround. So your total profit in 3 years on a lease option is going to be, a rent to own is 16,008 minus 1,000. Oops, it'll be 15,000. Now, I'm an amateur at mathematics, right? I'm not really that good at it. I try to do the best I can. I'm an amateur. But my eyes can tell me that total profit of 15.8 is bigger than zero, okay? Now, there's a whole lot of different moving parts within both of these strategies that we need to unpack, which is why we're doing this training for you, how to choose a tenant, the My Best Tenant Challenge. But I just want you to see on an overall, which one of these strategies do you think will benefit you? So for me, I switched my business over right around 2011 to doing the majority lease options. And here is some icing on the cake. When your lease option tenant buyer moves out, let's say you do have to cover the mortgage for a couple months, $1,500, that's $3,000. Okay, you gotta suck that up. You gotta suck that up. You have to suck that up either way. But when you move a new tenant buyer in, y'all, what are we gonna get again? What do we get one more time? We get another down payment, okay? So let's say you made 3 months of payments and your profit was 15.8, now you're down to what, 12 grand, right? But when you go sell it again or you do another rent to own, you get another down payment. This is worst case scenario, okay? So I want you to see how this works on both sides. And when you see people that have rental property, ask them, what strategy do they do? And ask them about their debt. You see, the traditional rentals work very well when your debt is low. Not necessarily when you have high debt because you got a lot of outgo every month. I tried. I've had a ton of foreclosures on my record back in 2008, 9, and 10 from trying to do this strategy, right? So I'm not necessarily recommending either one of these, but you make the decision which one you think will work best for you. So you go down this route. This is what I did because I thought I was making, man, I'm making $3,600 a year. And some people don't even have $300 a month. This is the $300 cash flow here. All right, this $300 cash flow. Do you know some people are not even getting $300 a month? They're getting $150. And I did a consultation the other day. Some people are getting negative. So can you imagine what a negative cash flow is going to look for your profit over 3 years? It's just not going to be, it's going to be nasty. And if you have a situation where you're getting negative, it might be time to get out of that, to liquidate that liability. It's not even an asset. You're losing money. So you decide. I want to know from you, which strategy do you think will work best for you? Either one is fine, all right? So if you're enjoying our content, make sure you share with people. Send this video out to other people that are thinking about getting in real estate. Most people think they're going to get in and just cash flow and there's nothing else left to do, just get passive cash flow and I'll just shine my nails, I'll be at the beach. Doesn't work like that, all right? So it's our obligation, you and me, to get the word out to our community so we can really, really start building wealth on a solid foundation. See, I didn't have a foundation when I started back in 2004. I was just trying to figure out if there was no internet training, I was trying to figure out how I can get started, right? So now you have the power in your hand to hit that button, share it with somebody, like this content, and subscribe. If you haven't yet, it is my commitments to help you raise your financial literacy through real estate investing by teaching you just the real numbers. Now, if your debt is lower, then your cash flow is higher, and you can still do a turnaround and make money, or have a vacancy and be okay, or do some expenses every year and you'll be okay. But for the new investor trying to get in high debt, you need to make a decision which way you want to be in, okay? Listen, it is an honor to be with you. I'll see you on the next video. Peace.